Joining me now is Simon Fraser, who's a former head of the Foreign Office. Good morning, Simon.
Morning.
You're a seasoned diplomat. You've seen a lot of this. Are we really facing the biggest land war in Europe, as described by the Prime Minister?
Well, of course, it's always difficult to disentangle the disinformation from the facts, but it does seem that actually, contrary to what a lot of the experts have been predicting over recent weeks, we may well be moving in that direction. And we do have to take very seriously the warnings that are being issued by President Biden and the Prime Minister and others now, I think. So the situation does look pretty alarming at the moment.
The conference is still going on, but the Russians aren't there. Can there be a diplomatic solution if they just aren't even turning up?
Well, it's true that they're not there. And I think that what that tells us is that President Putin is not at the moment really interested in negotiation and a negotiated solution. He's made demands which he knew NATO and the Americans could not accept. He's kept the door open a bit through the discussions of the activity of his foreign minister, Lavrov. But it doesn't seem to me at the moment that there is a very active disposition to negotiate on the Russian side. And I mean, there are ways in which negotiations could be taken forward if both sides wanted to do it. But one thing's really important to say. We can't negotiate with Russia if Russia has broken international law, has infringed the sovereignty of Ukraine, and has invaded. So the window for diplomacy at the moment, the current window for diplomacy, does look as if it may be closing.
Taking all of that together, do you agree with the Europe Minister James Cleverly when he says, as he did earlier in this programme, that an invasion is more likely today than not likely?
I just don't know the answer to that. I mean, if you look at this rationally from our perspective, you would say that the risks for Putin of doing that are immense, and he's going to incur huge economic, political, military and human cost if he does that. But what we have to be always aware of is that other people don't always see the world through the same perspective as us. And we have to understand the different motivators that are driving President Putin to this action. Even if we don't agree with them, we have to try and understand them. I can't tell you exactly what's going on in his head and what he's going to do. I think we do have to take the risk seriously.
Well, what's going on in his head, as you say, is a bit of a mystery. But the Foreign Secretary this morning appears to have better intelligence. She says that Putin won't stop at Ukraine and that he has designs on the Baltics and elsewhere. If she's right, that means that this crisis has to escalate, and at some point there is going to be actual conflict.
Yes, I mean, I think what he's trying to do is a number of things he's trying to do. He's basically trying to rewrite the sort of European security structures that we've had since the Cold War, which he believes have been shameful for Russia, a reverse for Russia. He's trying to reintegrate Ukraine into Russia because that, he believes, is something he believes. He wrote a long essay on that recently, and it's something he believes in. He's trying to weaken America and divide the West. And he's trying, of course, to bolster Russian control through force in the near abroad. All those are recognized objectives of Russian policy. And what he's trying to do actually is exploit a moment of what he sees to be weakness in the West and distraction in the West, in America and in Europe, to achieve those goals. So there is a risk that he will act in Ukraine. And of course, we must be aware that he may have broader objectives. That's why deterring him from this action would have been ideal. And if we can't deter him, we are going to need a very strong, united, powerful and effective response to try and limit any further action.
If you were in the Foreign Office now, how important would you regard what Kay Bailey Hutchinson has just been saying about the need to reduce European dependence on Russian energy supplies? What she seemed to be saying is that the Americans ought to be ramping up their provision of energy to Europe and building facilities so that Europe can be, if you like, stronger in facing down Putin.
Well, I mean, there's a whole series of lessons that we need to draw One is, of course, about Europe's dependence for its security on the United States. That's a long-running discussion. Another is this very important issue about energy dependency. And of course, we should be seeking to address that. But let's not fool ourselves. It's not something that can be solved overnight. There is a whole sort of infrastructure of energy supply to Europe from Russia and from the East, which you can't just switch off easily, because you can't necessarily replace those resources easily. There is, of course, a lot going on now at looking at alternative supplies of liquid gas, for example, but you have to have the infrastructure to be able to do that. So yes, definitely we should look at it, but it's a serious challenge.
Simon Fraser, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.